How's it going, team? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Jim Galvin, and on this channel we cover all things training, nutrition, biohacking and ancestral living to help you guys work out what you need to do based on your own individual biology to help improve and optimize your performance, your health and your physique. And today I want to share with you why and how I can now solemnly swear with maximum integrity at 34 years old, say I'm fitter, healthier and stronger now at 34 than I've ever been. Having spent 4.5 years as a Royal Marines Commando, serving in both Iraq and Afghanistan, Royal Marine training and 2 tours, obviously incredibly endurance focused, and 2 years as a push athlete with a GB bobsleigh team, the most primarily expressive sport of power ever, my opinion anyway, and having messed around and even competed in a wide variety of other things as well. Obstacle course races, strongman competitions, powerlifting competitions, sprinting, long jump. My background before the Royal Marines was I was a decathlete, functional fitness competitions, and I currently have 2 Guinness World Records in endurance deadlifting, with a 3rd one, 24-hour sled push, coming up in July. I think it's fair to say that at the very least, my physical endeavors so far have had a fair bit of range. And the way that I would assess my strength and fitness is through a number of different things. Firstly, the numbers on a board at the end of a competition obviously is an important and relevant metric. How much did you lift if it was a powerlifting competition or strongman, etc.? How quick did you run a particular part of an OCR course? But also how I feel day to day in the gym. I speak in a lot of my videos now about the fact that it's not purely about the outcome for me anymore. I love competing and that's never really changed. I've never gone through a phase where that doesn't appeal to me, and to be honest, now at 34, I can't really see that changing at some point in the future. I don't think I'm gonna get to 35 and just not wanna compete anymore. But a 3 kilo PB, like a lifetime PB in the squat, or a 3-minute PB on a 10K run or whatever, isn't worth feeling terrible and sore and stiff and just knackered and whatever, either in the gym every day or just generally in life. To me, to be honest, that's just a price I'm not willing to pay. Having a body that looks good and performs well needs to also feel energetic, mobile, supple, and just healthy on a day-to-day basis. I'm not saying it's best to be lazy and not train if you feel a little bit tired one day and just throw the towel in. I'm just saying that for me, a 2% improvement in performance is not worth a 30% drop in overall quality of life because I'm flipping knackered and sore and stiff and broken all the time. So if that's the case, am I actually saying that I'm 34 and in better shape now than I've ever been? Or am I saying I'm not, I just don't care as much? Luckily for you, and the fact that it wasn't completely clickbaity, it is the first one. I do genuinely believe that I am fitter and stronger and in overall better shape now at 34 than I've ever been. But how can I be in better shape now than I've ever been, considering I'm saying that I'm not willing to pay the price of a 2% improvement? Good question, and we'll cover that now. So how have I got to this stage, both physically and mentally now at 34? What has changed? What am I doing to maintain a physique that I'm happy with? And performance standards in the endurance and power domains that can still hold their own. And let's be honest and wade through the bullshit. What you really want to know is, can I do whatever this bloke is doing and access exactly the same thing? Obviously, yes you can. Can you imagine though, if I actually made a video and was like, this is why I'm in such amazing shape right now, for me anyway. And in no way are you able to access any of it. I just thought I'd share and brag. What an absolute knobber I would be to do a video like that. So here's a list of reasons why I'm in better shape now than I was when I was a Royal Marine Commando. Firstly, I know more about training. When you've been exploring different training methodologies to see what works objectively better and what your body might respond better to, you're going to explore different things, you're going to try a few different things, and you're going to draw some conclusions about how your body is responding. And when you do that for 10 to 15 years, you're going to make a decision about whether or not you prefer linear versus conjugated periodization. It's basically doing either entire cycles of training specifically dedicated towards developing either speed, strength, power, endurance, hypertrophy, whatever, versus doing cycles of training that combine all of these different components, either sometimes in the same session, but more likely in the same week. And that's just one example, right? When you spend 1.5 decades exploring different things, as I mentioned, you're going to pick a few things up. That's one reason why, at the very least, I should have better weapons in my arsenal for training now at 34 than I did when I was 20. Number 2, kind of linked to that, the training that I do now is much more specific for me. Regardless of the components that I'm developing, I know that for me, I only need 2 decent cardio sessions a week to really maintain a decent engine because I'm naturally predisposed to that. But mobility wise, I have to do every day or twice a day to see any improvement at all, even after a couple of months. So the training that I'm doing generally is more specific for me because I've cherry picked the stuff that objectively I think works for someone like me over, again, the last kind of 10 to 15 years. So I've refined the tools that I use and the methodologies that I use in my own training program generally. And the second thing is that as well as knowing what my body responds to generally, I can tune in better now. I have a better kind of kinesthetic understanding of my body on a day-to-day basis to know how it is responding to certain training loads or training intensities or training volumes. So I can test it, I can basically course correct my program over the course of a week or a month or whatever. So if I get up on a Monday morning and I'm just not feeling too great, I will manage the load for the next few days. Conversely, if I get up and I've had a really restful weekend and I've fueled up and I feel flipping amazing, then I'll also manage the load and might increase it a little bit. So kind of this second point of me knowing my body a little bit better kind of has both of those advantages. I know what my body responds better to and works for me generally, and B, I'm just more in tune with it, so I can test and adjust and course correct during a certain program pretty much instantly. And I have that relationship with the way that my body feels because I've been doing this longer. Third one, now this is absolutely massive and extraordinarily relevant generally, A, for people, in my opinion, over the age of kind of 30, and B, considering the last couple of videos that I made was specifically on this topic, I am much more willing to accept that when I'm a little bit knackered, I will allow myself to deload and taper off. And again, this is not like, oh my God, he's allowing himself to be lazy when he's a little bit tired or back off. Obviously, I don't do that with my background. I hope you kind of realize that I wouldn't bitch out of training just because I missed 15 minutes sleep the night before, or because I was a little bit tired because my steps are up or flipping whatever. Obviously, I'm gonna push through and I have that level of kind of stoic resilience. But at the same time, there's a point where you can quite easily use that mindset to enter into this absolutely flipping retarded approach to exercise where you just keep yourself chronically overtrained. And in my opinion, there is an absolutely massive portion of kind of young people prepping for the military or young CrossFitters or athletes that are perpetually chronically overtrained. And they, like, I don't know the only time they ever take time off is literally when they get injured. Because I don't know whether or not it's a psychological thing, they've bought in too much to these stupid motivational videos that tell you you're only gonna be successful if you want it more than you wanna breathe. I wanna breathe more than I fucking want anything else. Because there's no point being successful and having money if you're dead, is there? It's just absolutely mind-blowing to me. So I think there's just the level of both intelligence and humility that I have now, much more so than I did when I was in my 20s, where I would allow myself to deload a little bit. If I need a couple of days off where I do nothing. And if I need a week, or I'm in a period literally right at the moment, I'm in a period of about 2 or 3 weeks where I'm doing no heavy lifting. The only time I pick up a barbell is for like some rotational work with an empty barbell, that is it. But it's because of things like this where I allow myself to deload when needed. And again, I trust my ability to decipher whether or not I do truly need it or whether or not I'm just being a pussy. But it's because I do, when needed, taper off or completely do nothing, that my body gets all the adaptations that it's been waiting for flipping however long, this checklist of tissues that it needs to fix. That is one of the reasons I genuinely believe that I'm in better shape now than I've ever been, because I, like most people in their 20s, especially like most young competitive men, just don't do that. My ego gets in the way a lot less than it used to, and I encourage you, if you are younger than me and you're in your 20s, to start listening to your body. And it's a very difficult thing to do when your ego is going to get in the way, especially if you're under 25, when your ego as a young man is absolutely in the driver's seat of your behavior. But I 100% encourage you to start listening to your body properly and rein it in. And if not, don't worry about it because you're resilient, because you're in your 20s. But in 10 years, I hope you remember this video and go, that crazy flipping old bloke in the white vest, turned out he was right. Number 4, kind of like this, not necessarily the big like times of deload that I specifically allocate to myself, but just generally, I see the value in recovery now. And this is something that I definitely would say is more necessary when you get into your 30s, because I think recovery when you're in your 20s, you just take 4 deep breaths and your body's flipping healed. But when you get a little bit older, recovery requires deliberate time and deliberate attention. Although you have as much potential, and in fact maybe more potential actually, to be both aerobically fit, absolutely strength, like maximal strength, is something that I don't believe that anyone peaks for in their early 20s. I think it's mid to late 30s. So speed, pretty much everything other than flexibility, I believe you have as much potential or more in your 30s than you do when you're in your 20s. However, you just need to be aware that the physiological adaptations that you need, obviously being in the gym, effectively doesn't directly make you stronger. Directly, it makes you weaker. It breaks down your tissues and it breaks down your systems. And then it is the time between sessions when your body then doesn't compensate to the damage that you've given it. It overcompensates. That's how we get stronger. That's how we get fitter. That overcompensation happens in downtime, during times of rest, during times of sleep, during whatever. And it is that recovery time that requires more deliberate attention when you're in your 30s. It's probably that, like you feel it when you're not recovered, when you're a little bit older, combined with the fact that you're probably a little bit more self-educated on this stuff, is the reason why older athletes probably spend a little bit more time, you know, doing things like temperature cycling with ice baths and saunas, getting massages and stuff. Because they feel it when they're not fully recovered, and they really feel the benefits of engaging in that practice, whatever that recovery practice, whatever it may be. And the second thing is they've probably read enough or heard enough, because they've lived longer, they've literally been alive longer, they've been in the fitness space a little bit longer to expose themselves to more material that substantiate that that's probably a good idea. And number 5, this is an interesting one. I'm not sure if I completely even agree with this, which is ridiculous because I flipping wrote this. But I think as you get older and you kind of move away from the general party culture of being in your 20s, you are less, I don't know, maybe this is just me, maybe this is kind of in my circles, but I think overall you just look after yourself a little bit better in the fact that you don't engage in indulgences that are probably as destructive to your health. You're probably not drinking as much. If you get older and you get a little bit more responsibility at work, you probably need to be awake for work, probably not smashing as many flipping drugs at the weekend. You're probably sleeping a little bit better, because the idea of doing an all-nighter when you're 34, I would rather, mate, I'll be honest, if you're watching this now, anyone that is in your 20s, you'll probably think I'm absurd for saying this. I would rather be punched in the face than do an all-nighter, because I believe I will recover quicker, and the net amount of flipping pain that I'll experience from it. The idea of doing an all-nighter now, oh my God, if I go out and piss and it lasts till 1:30 p.m, I have to rework my diary for the next month. It's absurd. Maybe not that long, I'm being slightly hyperbolic, but you get the point. But you do start to develop associations very, very quickly, immediate associations between certain behaviors and certain outcomes. You know, I drink loads and a hangover's 10 times worse. I don't sleep much and I really do feel shit, whatever it may be. So instead of ironically developing an adaptation, it's kind of the opposite. And because of that, you're kind of like diverted towards living better and making slightly better choices, because it just means that you'll experience a little bit less pain from an indulgent weekend. So that's it, guys. 5 reasons why I genuinely believe that overall, fitness, health and wellness, the whole package, I believe that I'm in better shape now at 34 than I've ever been in my life, including when I was in the Royal Marines and including when I was a full-time GB athlete. I know more about training and health because I've been in this space for so much longer. The training that I do is so much more specific to me, and I can course correct during my program. I'm willing to deload when needed and allow my body, if I've done a really, really hard 8-week cycle, I'll allow myself to take 5 days of doing literally nothing, not even stepping foot in the gym, to allow that fatigue to clear up. I see the value in recovery and give it deliberate time, effort, energy, and money to make sure that I'm insulating myself against injury and speeding up that adaptation process. Meaning that all the damage I'm doing to myself in the gym actually gets to heal now more effectively and efficiently than it's ever done. And generally, I live better because I enjoy the benefits of it, and some of the deleterious side effects of overindulging are so flipping immediate, it basically pushes me away from that. Team, if you have any questions or comments, please do put them in the comment section down below. If you could all do me an absolutely massive favor and assertively smash that like button if you did enjoy this. It really does help me. I'm a young channel, throwing myself into the mix here in the deep waters of flipping YouTube. So please do hit that like button. It really does help me. It helps the channel grow. It helps push us a little bit quicker down the algorithmic river that is YouTube. Algorithmic river, I literally just made that up on the spot. I'm actually pretty happy with that. What on me, huh? Huh? And if you have not yet done so, please do subscribe. Got a hell of a lot of content coming on the way. And as always, beautiful people, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome. And I'll see you soon.